Hello everyone. Today I'm in the shop and I thought we'd work on some woodworking. I've been working on a lot of pottery and I think I'm going to take a little break. But I have a lot more work to do with pottery. So this is just a little interruption just to keep things interesting. This is my shave horse that I've made. It's all out of, well, 95% of it is out of local grown wood. These two big slabs I got from my brother. These two side pieces I got from the trees out in my backyard. Same with the legs. And I, worked them until I got to a sawhorse. Today we're going to be working with the shave draw knife. Sorry. And I'm going to try to make a bread bowl. Now, I did take the liberty of prepping my piece. I just took a log. This one's about firewood size. And I trimmed half of it this way with a chainsaw. I trimmed the back half with a chainsaw. Then I ran it through the planer, both top and bottom. And I squared up the edges, with my saw. And I drew a little line on where I need to make the cuts. So I'm gonna put this in here and I'm gonna try to shave this little bit off, try to get it close to that line. And we'll see how this goes. The idea is we're gonna shave this so it's nice and round first, and then I'll draw a design or a inner circle here, and then I'll start working on digging this out and trying to use the spoke shave, or not spoke shave. Just want to keep wanting to say spoke shave. I'm going to use the end shave to try to get in here, and if that doesn't work, I'll use the adze and see if we can get in here. All right, so let's see if we can get started on at least making this symmetrical, and we'll go from there. All right, so I have this sitting in the draw horse. I got my cheese set pretty low because this is pretty thick. This cheese just goes in and out based on how thick of a slab you have in here. And this will, when I push down on this, it'll move this forward and I'll be able to take some slices here. I do want to move this forward a little bit. If I didn't mention before, this is a piece of ash. But still, I can feel it's pretty damp still, even though I've had it sitting for 6 months. It's still pretty damp when I cut through it. So hopefully this goes pretty smoothly. So let's just get to it. All right, I got my feet pushed on. And I'm just going to take small little chunks. This really makes fast work of it. I mean, that's just about there. So I'll flip it over and try the other side. Hopefully you can see all that. If you're wondering, yes, this is my first woodworking project with the draw knife. I've done some practicing to try to get things flat, but this will be my first actual project. And things seem to be going pretty well. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take a scientist to figure this out. It's just, I have my blade this way, or with the flat edge down, so that I can just try to keep things flat and just pull. It's very satisfying working with this. So, believe it or not, I think we're there. I mean, that didn't take too long. I got a nice little shape going. And, you know, I can always get that a little later, you know, with some sandpaper or whatever I'm going to use to clean that up. But next part is to figure out what the shape of this I want to be. I think I'm going to have just chamfered corners and an oval here just to see how this goes. Okay? Okay, I have a rough shape here. I'm just going to round off the corners on all sides. Keep a nice 1/2 inch border around. On the sides, I'm going to come in this way. The width, I'm going to leave it the way it is because I like that width. And I'm just going to do both sides, you know, coming in. So I think I'll start on that. I'll start on the bottom first so that I get that to where I want, so I know where to stop when I'm digging the top. So I think I'll just start right here. And put the pen down. And trying to bump this cheese all the way up now. I don't know why they call it a cheese, I guess because it's a wedge. But that's what they call it. You know, you gotta call it something. So the idea here is I'm going to try to come kind of straight down, you know, but I'll have to go from corner to corner first and then come straight. Just so that, so in other words, I'm not coming to a point here. I'm coming, it's all flat coming this way. Almost if I were to take a saw and cut this off, which I considered. But that's cheating. I want to use the draw knife and see how I can get better with it. So I'm just going to get to it. You know, this way I can keep an eye on both sides too. I know there's a couple different ways to use this draw knife. I think what I saw is you want to take a stroke from one corner down to the other like that. And I should probably wear gloves so if I hit my fingers it won't hurt. But you know, I'm stubborn. You know what? I'm not this stubborn. I'm going to go get gloves. Hold on. All right, I got my gloves on now. I'll just keep continuing. I'm sure some professionals out there are looking at this like, what is he doing? But this is all I know right now. So I'm learning. You know, this may not be as fast as a saw, but it's a lot more satisfying. just trying to hold this picture in my head of what this should look like. When I'm done, it should be kind of straight across here with a little bit of round, over. You know, things are starting to get a little harder, so I'm going to take a minute and do a quick sharpen on my blade, and so I can rest my arms a little bit. All right, move this forward. I wonder if I try flipping this over, if I get a deeper cut. Again, I'm not so sure about doing it this way, but I mean, I've seen people do it, but I think this is used for a different type of cut. But whatever works in this storm. I certainly don't feel as controlled that way. Maybe it's just because my technique's bad. I'm going to go back to this and try to keep making facets so that I can take the edge off. Almost like with the blacksmithing, you go from round to square, or I'm sorry, from square to octagon to round. And I think that's what I'm trying to do here, is make that little edge so that I can take it off. I'm just not being able to see an edge. Maybe this was a little denser too. Or it's dried out, or it's bad, I don't know. I think I just have to work on this for a little while until I start getting good at it. But the idea is to continue doing this until it's straight across and have a round over this way. So I learned something is to be very careful on the ends. The end grain got kind of tore out. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use some sandpaper on that. But overall, I think it turned out fairly well. And, good enough for my first try. And certainly good enough for a bread bowl. There's a couple little things that I could have done better. And I think that's with my initial block out. It looks like this thing isn't square. It looks like this points out a little bit this way. And maybe I'll just pick that up with sandpaper real quick. I'm going to do the other side off camera. And then we'll get back when we start digging out the center here. Okay? Hey everyone, welcome back. I have to apologize. I didn't get the footage of me carving out this bread bowl. Two reasons. One, I had no idea how I was going to do it. And I spent probably 30 minutes just to figuring out what works, what doesn't work. I had an end shave that only took slivers at a time, and I was like, that's not going to work. I had this adze that ended up working somewhat. It worked better once I sharpened the adze, but I used this to rough out the inside, which kind of gave me a sliver down here. Then I used the hatchet to go on the sides like this to, widen that middle section out. And then I used chisels to get that a little more refined. And then finally I used my carving tools to try to smooth it out the best I could. And I apologize. The other part of it was I wasn't feeling well when I was doing this, and I had very little voice, so there wouldn't have been much to talk about. And so I went and did it off camera. I apologize, but here's the end product. I have a coat of olive oil on this just to give it a little bit of a color and a protection. It's not so bad for my first try. I have some damage here. I don't know if you can see that. That was where I hit with the adze and had little control with that. I have some torn out end grain where I must have went a little too aggressive with the chisel. And this in here didn't turn out too smooth because this was very hard to chisel out. The outside that I did with the spoke or the draw knife went fairly well. I was happy with that. But it was all carved out by hand. I did use some sandpaper to get in here. In fact, I made a little jig to fit in here to kind of help me get some of the rough spots out. As you can see, really only the corners got sanded. So, but it was helpful, especially when you're trying to carve or when you're trying to chisel and you can't really tell all the different surfaces. That helped knock down some of the rough surfaces, and then it just left behind the ones that were really needed to get shaven down. I used the wood hammer with the chisel, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't get all of it on tape or video, and but I hope you enjoyed the rest of it anyway. Plus, this video is getting pretty long anyway. So this is my first dough bowl.